Hello everyone, this is Sumerian and this is part 4 of the Advanced Programming in the Toy Box series. And in this video we're going to be talking about triggering actor information, which we mentioned a fair bit in the last video. Now triggering actor information, it's going to be a little more difficult using basic programming language to kind of explain it. We can still use some if-then type terminology, but we might actually, when we get a little more advanced with this, start going into signal flow. Don't worry, it'll all make sense in the end, and we will push through this together. So first we're going to do very simple, what is triggering actor information? Basically what it is let's say I'm doing a simple if-then statement with a trigger area. And we're going to say if any AI enters this trigger area, so if any AI, we're going to display text1 from this text creator. Now, a text creator actually has an option for triggering actor. And what this means is it's going to display this text over the actor that has triggered it. Now, a lot of toys, creative toys, don't carry information. They're simple yes-no type statements. So like a counter reaching target reach will just send out a yes-no statement that yes, I have reached target reached, do whatever you want to do. But a lot of trigger type creativity toys, trigger areas, dynamic triggers, push buttons, all sorts of things, they won't just say yes, an AI has entered this trigger area. They'll actually send a signal that says this AI entered this trigger area, and that is what we refer to as triggering actor information. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick up someone here. Let's pick up Maleficent, and I haven't put any text in the text creator, but it should still work. It'll say text1. I'm going to walk her over, and I probably missed. I did. I'm going to toss her in there, and text1 appears over her head. And I can take her out, toss her over here, go grab Mighty Gitus here, toss her into the trigger area. I just keep missing the barrier of this thing. Text1. There. Now she's saying it. So that is basic triggering actor information. So I can still say if Mighty Gitus AI enters this trigger area, then display text1 over Mighty Gitus's head. You can still basically use the cause and effect programming language, but it starts to become a mouthful when you start throwing that much into it, especially when we start doing a bit more advanced stuff here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make a simple little setup where I'm going to toss a AI into this fenced-in area, and when I've tossed them in, they're going to attach themselves to this path and walk over to the end of the path and stand there. And once they get to the end of the path, we're going to have some collectibles show up, and there's a push button near here. Once you've collected 5 collectibles, if you push that button, we're going to transform that AI into some sort of monster. Sounds fun, doesn't it? So we're going to drag this trigger area out to cover most of the fenced-in area for when we throw them in. Now, there are the problem with triggering actor information is it's easy to lose it. You can only really normally use it at the moment that the AI either enters this trigger area or leaves this trigger area. That's the only 2 real times you can grab onto that triggering actor information and do something with it, unless you get clever. Because there are 2 creativity toys that can actually delay or pass that information on. The first one is the time delayer. The time delayer, when it receives a signal to start delay, it actually can take that triggering actor information and it will hold on to it until its delay is completed, and then it will pass it back on. So you'll still have that triggering actor information. So for example, we're going to say, and before I do that, the other creativity toy is our favorite one, the logic gate. And I'm going to throw a logic gate in here, and I'll explain why in a second. So we're going to say new entered AI friend, we're going to send an input to this logic gate. And the logic gate is going to output to this time delayer. And the time delayer, once its delay is completed, is going to, like we did in our last video, it's going to connect triggering actor to path. And let's change this delay to 2 seconds. So beautiful. What we've already done right now is we toss an AI in here. 2 seconds later, they're going to be hooked up to this path. So they should walk to the front of it, walk along the path, and get to the end. Should. So that's a great start. But what we really want to do as well is we want to have this set up so that once we've thrown one AI in there, we don't want you to be able to keep throwing more in. We just want the one in there. If you do throw more in, they aren't going to walk down this path or anything. They're just going to be wandering around in there. So when this logic gate outputs, I'm going to send a signal to this logic AND, which will only fire once. And when it does, it's going to close this logic gate so that the signal is no longer coming output, meaning we don't care anymore. Now, what I really want to happen, let's say right here, once the player gets to the end of the path, point reached by object on path, we're going to display all these collectibles. And we're doing things in order here, so let's use a counter. And the logic gate. So when I push this button, it's only going to do something if I've collected 5 of these collectibles. So I'm going to say when the collectible is collected by anyone, increment by 1, set this guy's number to 5. Target reached. Close that logic gate. Push this button. Input to this logic gate. And there we go. Now, one other thing we want to do is here's where the more advanced stuff comes into play. Once that button is pushed, I want to get rid of the triggering actor here. I want to use a kill switch to get rid of them, and then I'm going to spawn an enemy here. Make it look like they've been turned into something. But to do that, I need the triggering actor information. And now you can actually hook an actor up to a kill switch, but I've got 4 AI here. I can't hook the kill switch up to all of them, or even if I do, I'll kill them all at the same time if I decide to use that option, and that won't look good. That I only want to get rid of the one that's in there. So I need a way to grab onto that triggering actor information and keep it until I need it. So we had the information come into this logic gate the one time before we close that logic gate. So what we're going to do is we're going to output it into this logic gate here too. And we're going to create a loop. So the output of this logic gate will input to the second logic gate. And the output of the second logic gate is going to input to the first logic gate. So we just grab that triggering actor information and we're looping it again and again and again around the circle again and again constantly through these 2 logic gates until we need it. So when we need it, what I'm going to say is input blocked is going to defeat whatever triggering actor information is being carried to it, which will be whoever's standing right here in the middle. So what we're going to say is input blocked of this button, which will close when this counter reaches 5. So this signal, when this button's pushed, an input block will only come out if we've collected 5 of the collectibles. So the input blocked, we're going to close this logic gate so that the loop will stop because it's only the output of this logic gate coming back to the input of this one. The input blocked, however, is not re-inputting to this, so the loop's going to stop and the triggering actor information is actually going to hit this kill switch And at that point, we will actually be getting rid of whoever is standing here. And so simple enough after that is we're also going to have it that we have an enemy generator hooked up to that locator sitting right there. And input blocked is going to spawn us what's a big scary enemy we can have come out. Let's see, a tank Omnidroid. Sounds scary. Alright, so that should be simple enough. We're going to kill off the actor, spawn an Omnidroid. Let's see what happens here then. So who should we pick to be our sacrifice here? We have all sorts of villains on this screen. We have Maleficent, we have an Inquisitor, we have, a scary skeleton guy, and then we have the mighty Jidus villain. Like we didn't see that one coming. So, if we toss her in here, 2 seconds later, her triggering actor information should come out of the timed layer and force her onto that path. And there she goes. She's wandering down the path, and when she gets to the end of the path, oh, that's right, I don't have this set to stop. Well, that's not very pleasant. Let's tell her to stop. Little mess up on my part, I guess. Let's say one way and stop. That's where testing comes in. I didn't even realize that would happen. So we now have her standing where we want her to be standing. So that's fine. But that information that hooked her up to that came out of the timed layer, which came out of the logic gate over here, which also sent a signal to these logic gate. So we should have a loop going right now between these logic gates carrying that triggering actor information. So as you see, we have all these have shown up when she hit that object point, and when we have 5, we should now be able to push this button and she should disappear. She should be defeated and replaced with an Omnidroid. And that was all because we held on to that triggering actor information. So there you go, triggering actor information. You can actually hold on to it, and that's how I've done some of the boxes where I actually give the player complete control of the townsperson, have them wandering around the entire time. I use a loop to hold on to that triggering actor information for the entire game to actually give me control of that townsperson for as long as I want. So, again, this has been Cimmerian. This has been a tutorial on triggering actor information. I hope it's been useful to you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.